Hey guys, my name is Shirley and welcome back to my channel. I am so excited to be bringing this video to you guys because I am going to be giving you a complete and honest breakdown of how much it cost me to purchase my very first investment property. You know what? Let's not beat around the bush. It cost me between 62 to 65,000 Australian dollars to purchase my first property, but don't exit out of the video just as of yet because there's a whole lot that went into that final number. So yes, make sure to stick around, buckle in and enjoy the video. Before we go too far, I just wanted to start off with a bit of context and sharing a bit with you guys about why I'm even creating this video at all. When I first started this whole process, I had zero idea of what to expect. So when I was saving, I didn't even know what I should set my goal as because I didn't know like how much do people put down for a deposit, how much do X and Y Z cost and all of that stuff. So I'm hoping in this video, with me being transparent and honest, it gives you an idea of exactly what is involved so that you can prepare yourself. I know things like money and personal finances are a bit of a taboo topic for a lot of people, but I'm somebody who just loves being transparent about these types of things. One, because I feel like the more transparent we are, the more that we can all win in terms of personal finance. I feel like a lot of us struggle because of ignorance or because we don't know certain things. So I'm hoping that, you know, this will empower someone. Anyway, I've already spoken too much already. Let's go straight into the numbers. All right, so I'm going to be breaking down the cost from most expensive up until the least expensive. All the figures that I'm quoting here is money that left my bank account, like I paid out of pocket, so it wasn't part of the loan. Like this isn't money that I was loaned by the bank. The first biggest expense that was involved is obviously the house deposit itself. So personally, I purchased my first investment property in regional New South Wales, and the reason why I've done that is because that's what fits best with the strategy that I have at the moment. I'm not going to go deep into strategy here. So given that I purchased in regional, price of my property was very affordable and much cheaper than anything you can get here in Sydney. Just to give you rough numbers, the median house price here in Sydney as of I believe June or July of this year, it was $1.4 million, and the median house price in Melbourne is $1 million. So property here isn't cheap. My property I purchased for $210K, so $210,000, and I put down a 20% deposit for $42,000. The next biggest expense that I incurred was a buyer's agent. In just a brief overview, a buyer's agent is somebody who acts in the best interest of the buyer. So they go and do all the market research for you, they help you create a strategy. Essentially, they just literally do everything for you in terms of the purchasing of the property. They're not involved with the loan side of things. I don't want to disclose the exact number of how much it costs me to go with my buyer's agent. I am going to give you a range just because I don't know if I'm actually allowed to disclose his fees, but I did pay between 11,000 and 15,000 Australian dollars. I know the fees have gone up since I last engaged with him. The next big expense that I had was stamp duty. In New South Wales, we do have a concession whereby if you buy it as an owner occupied, the government kind of gives you a discount on stamp duty, but given I was buying as an investor, I wasn't eligible for any concessions, so I did have to pay the full cost of stamp duty, and of which for me that was $5,805. The next expense that I did have to incur was a conveyancer fee. Again, in my previous video I did talk a bit about what a conveyancer is. Essentially, they're the guys that do all the legal paperwork for you, so things like transferring the name of the property from the current owner to you, making sure that it's all registered properly. So they just do all the legal back end side of things. So the conveyancer fee that I did have to pay was at $1,595. The next expense that I did incur was landlord insurance. So given that I was buying as an investment property, I feel like anyone who's buying property should have insurance. Just like how I wouldn't drive a car around without having it insured, I wouldn't be comfortable owning property without it being insured. So mine, I got it really cheap. I called I think like 6 different providers and I was on the phone with them. I was comparing their rates, and the one that ended up coming in as the cheapest was Allianz, and I am paying an annual fee of $688. Like I said, this is extremely cheap. A lot of the other ones that I was speaking with were like upwards of 1.5, some I think were even 2,000 that they were quoting me. The next expense that I did have to incur was a building and pest inspection, and I did this prior to signing the contract. Prior to signing the prior to signing the contract for the property. Now, a building and pest inspection is where you get, I think it's a builder or somebody who's qualified. They come and they look at the property, they look for any structural damages, they look to see if there's any termites or anything like that. And I feel like that is such an important cost to incur, because I would hate to buy a property only then to find out once I've signed the contract and once I have, you know, a 30-year mortgage, only to find out that the property has structural damages. That would, oh, I can't even imagine that scenario. So yeah, building inspection for me was a no-brainer. So for me, I did 2 inspections actually. So my initial inspection was for $550. Now from that first inspection, they did have some recommendations and recommended a certain specialist come and look at certain things, and that one cost me $150. Another cost that I did have to incur was a registration fee, so that was $292. And then the last cost that I did incur was a settlement fee, and then that was $116. So all in all those expenses, I would tell you the exact number, but if I tell you the exact number, then you'd be able to calculate how much my buyer's agent cost me. With all those costs incurred, the running total of how much it cost me to purchase my first property was between $62,000 to $65,000. I think the biggest shocker from all of this experience was how much other costs are involved with purchasing a property besides the deposit. As you can see from this, it was only $42,000 for my deposit, and then yet I had to pay, you know, another $20,000 essentially just for other costs involved. So I guess if you are saving, have a good idea of what your deposit is. That's definitely going to be your biggest expense, yes, but also make sure you prepare yourself that there definitely will be a lot of other costs involved afterwards as well. Definitely this could have been a lot cheaper if I hadn't paid for a buyer's agent, if I'd bought as an owner-occupied and not as an investor, and if, you know, I did only 1 inspection, it would have cost me only $44,553 Australian dollars to buy this property. And then let's say, since hypothetically I would have been buying as a first home owner. In Australia, the government does give grants for first home owners, and I think at the moment it's sitting at about $10,000. So let's say I didn't buy as an investor and I bought as a first home owner, as in I'm actually living in that property, I could have gotten 10 grand from the government and paid $34,553. So yeah, when I do look at those numbers, it does pain me a bit. I'm like, oh my god, maybe I should have bought as a first home owner. I lived in the property for the first 6 months and then moved out, but then it's located in regional and I would never want to live in regional. There are people who live in regional and they love it, but it's just not for me. I've just been so used to being around the city. I wouldn't want to be far away from my family. I don't know. When I do look at those numbers, I'm like, oh wow, I really could have maybe only spent like 35,000, but I ended up spending like upwards of 60 grand, like, but I'm really happy with everything that I did. I'm happy that I went with a buyer's agent. I know like the buyer's agent fee was probably the most painful to pay. Like I felt it come out of my chest, and it just like, I love my buyer's agent. I'm definitely gonna be using him again, but whew, it's a hard amount of cash to let go of. But like I said, I'm glad I went through the way that I did. Everything is working out perfectly for me. Those are the expenses that I incurred. I do have a few more videos coming up. If there are any other videos that you'd like me to make as part of this whole property investment type thing, make sure to comment that down below. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. And with all that being said and done, dream big and hustle hard. I'll catch you again in the next one. Bye.